Hello and welcome to part 2 of the Build Your Own Website series presented by Community Future Chinook and EntreCorp. I'm thrilled that all of you have taken time out of your day today to join this session. Today in part 2, we'll explore website customization, website content creation, and the process of launching and marketing your website. So this session will include, like I said, both a PowerPoint presentation along with a live demonstration on the Wix website building platform. So like I said, just a little bit of patience as I switch between sharing my PowerPoint and sharing my other screen. Feel free to follow along and take notes, but don't worry, both the session recording and the PowerPoints will be available afterwards in a post-event wrap-up email. So for those of you who do not know me, maybe you didn't come to session 1 or maybe you just forgot, I don't know. But for those of you who may not know me, my name is Grace Evans. I'm deeply passionate about digital marketing and the small businesses that serve as a foundation of our vibrant communities. Over the past 3 years, I've had the privilege of helping businesses, especially those with limited marketing budgets, take meaningful steps towards establishing their own online presence. By guiding them through the processes of building a website and developing a strong digital identity, I empower business owners to take control of their own online visibility and growth. I'm excited to be here today again and look forward to sharing valuable insight that will help you navigate this journey of creating your very own website with confidence. As you think of questions, please put them in the Q&A section to ensure I will see them and answer them at the end of the presentation. Please feel free to upvote any questions you see that are relevant to what you're thinking, and that way I can answer the most pressing questions at the end of the presentation. So like I said, today is all about customization, content creation, and website launch and optimization, integrating social media, testing and pre-launch, and marketing your website. As we go through, I've kind of broken these down, but you'll realize that all of this goes hand in hand. So we start at the top and we'll go, each one of these steps will kind of fall into each other, but it's good to have a strong foundational of breakdown at the beginning here. So in case you missed it, last week we dove into part 1. If you missed it, we covered the essentials of the planning phase of building your website. So proper planning, as I mentioned over and over last week, is a key to creating a functional and practical site. So this includes defining your website's purpose, identifying your target audience, and developing a strong content strategy. Laying the groundwork ensures that your site is both effective and user-friendly. So today we'll build on that foundation by diving into customization, content creation, and the steps to launch and market a site successfully. So for those of you who did your homework, you'll be able to dive into these next steps seamlessly. If you missed part 1, I highly recommend going and looking at the recording. We'll pop that in the chat, as well as we'll include it in the post-event wrap-up email in case you missed part 1 and need to go back on that. Or if you were there for part 1 and just missed the recording, it's good to have to go back on and look back on those steps as you move forward with your website journey. So next, as I mentioned last week, I will be doing a live demonstration using the Wix website building platform. But it's important to remember that Wix is not the only player in the game. It's not the only website builder out there. So with so many options available, as I repeatedly said last week, it's crucial to do your research and choose the platform that best suits your business's needs. Don't hesitate to take advantage of free trials to explore different website builders and find the one that really works best for you. Each platform has unique features, so take your time, experiment, and see which one aligns with your goals. And that's one reason I also love Wix. They offer a free trial period that really allows you to build out your content, build out your website, and really decide if you're jamming with Wix, if you're finding it easy enough to use, if it has the features that you're looking for. This free trial period is really excellent for deciding and doing research. So like I said, don't hesitate to take advantage of free trials. I know other website builders like Squarespace also offer free trials, such as Squarespace. It's like 14 days long. So yeah, take advantage of that and do your research and pick what's best for you, not just what I'm doing today. But for those of you who want to continue with Wix, I will be really breaking down and focusing on Wix today, but these skills will also be valuable to those who have never been in a website builder before. So hang on. I promise you there'll be something valuable that you'll take from today's platform, even if you are not planning on going with the Wix platform. So as I mentioned today, Wix is the example I'll be using. So as of last week, I outlined kind of some homework for you guys to do, and one of them was to sign up. Of course, the initial step to building a website is taking that step and signing up. Typically, signing up for any website platform is 100% free, and with Wix, that's the case. So you're going to go in and sign up. So you're going to go to the Wix website, www.wix.com. On their homepage, you'll click the Get Started or Sign Up button. From there, it will lead you through the registration process. Typically, this includes you using an email address and creating a unique password to create that account. If you are a business, I highly recommend using a business email for everything business related versus using a personal account. Or say you're an employer and you have a employee building your website for you, I highly encourage you to have some sort of generic business email that you're using to create the site. The reason I say this is because say that employee is terminated or moves on to something else, and you're not as technically sound with things, it could end up being very difficult to access your website without that registration email. So keeping it all in the business and easy to access is really important. So once you've created your account and you get into Wix, this step is going to make more sense. But I am going to talk about the really hot button topic right now, which is AI. So once you've registered and created an account in Wix, you will be opened and it's going to ask you if you want to use the Wix AI tool. So Wix has an amazing built-in AI tool. This can help you create a website really quickly and easily. No design skills required, which is usually really ideal to people. So this is a great option if you want a fast and simple way to get started with your website. And that's the key word, get started, because there's still going to be work for you to do even if you use the built-in AI tools. So, and if you've never worked with AI technology before, this is a fantastic opportunity for you to dip your toes in and get a feel for how AI can support the creative process. So here's how to use it in brief. It'll make more sense once you sign in and get into Wix. I wish I could show you every step of this hands, but it just gets a little complex. So I'm just going to talk through this step. If you have any questions on it, please throw them in the Q&A section and I will answer them the best I can. So when you sign up and choose Wix ADI, it's going to bring you through the process. So you'll be given the option to either go straight into Wix Editor or choose Wix ADI, which Wix ADI stands for Artificial Design Intelligence. This tool will guide you through the website creation process. Step 2 is answer a few questions. So once you are in Wix ADI, it will ask you a few simple questions about your website purpose, style preferences. This helps the AI tailor the designs to your needs. So going through this process with many of my clients, they're not very pressing questions. They're going to ask you, what's the name of your business? What's the contact details of your business? Who's your business target audience? What's your main messaging you want to have on your website? And it's going to build out different tools and things and apps that based on the information you give it, it's going to build out a templated site for yourselves. Next is AI will create you a website. So once you've answered these questions, Wix ADI will automatically create a website for you. It will choose a design layout, so it'll choose from one of Wix's templates, layouts, and it'll even put in some content based on the answers you've given AI. So it might even, for example, you're a dog groomer, and you've put in, I'm a local dog groomer, these are my goals, these are the colors I like. I like pink and orange and I'm a dog groomer. It's going to insert stock pictures of dogs and it'll probably insert blocks of pink and orange, being that you've given AI that direction. However, next step is customize. So even though AI kind of does the legwork and inputs a lot of stuff, there's still lots of work for you to do on the side of website building. So from there, you can customize the design further, edit text, images, and add more to make it truly your own site. The AI gives you a great starting point, but that's all it is a starting point. And now it's time for you to make that site your own. So if you've never worked with AI before, this is the perfect way to get introduced to it and its capabilities in a user-friendly and practical way. So it's really, like I said, the starting point and a good way to get your feet wet in the AI world. But if you choose not to use the Wix ADI technology, your next steps within the Wix builder are, do you want to start with a blank canvas or do you want to start with a template? So typically this is the route that small businesses I work with go with, being that AI can be a little bit daunting for some people and it's totally understandable. So now that you're familiar with the basics of Wix in a sense, we're going to get into more basics as we go. The next step is deciding whether you want to start from scratch or use a template. So I want to explore both options. So a blank canvas. So a blank canvas is if you choose to start from scratch. You get total creative freedom. You can drag and drop elements exactly where you want them, designing every detail from the ground up. This option is great if you have a specific vision for your website and want full control over how the layout and design is going to look. Example, often I work with clients and they have this website example or a couple of examples from other businesses doing the same thing as them within the same industry, and they really like the functionality or design of their site, and they kind of want to emulate that in their site without copying, of course, but maybe they like a way a scroller is, or how there's a nice big glossy photo at the top, or how the menu is. So starting with a blank canvas kind of allows you to have the more flexibility in the way things are designed. However, also, blank canvases also lead to, if you're not a really big keen on graphic design and things like that, they can be really overwhelming in the sense of, where do I put this text? How come it looks like my 5-year-old scrapbook? How come I can't move this where I want it to, and things like that? Of course, you run into that with a template too, but I find sometimes when you jump into a blank canvas without the experience, it can be really frustrating down the line because you have nothing to really go off of. You're really building off of what's in your mind and what design you want, but you might not be able to execute what's in your mind into the website builder quite the way you want it to as a beginner. So that's why for beginners, I often suggest templates. Sometimes templates obviously can be a little restricting in the way they're designed because they're a template. But on the other hand, if you're looking for a quick and easy start, you can choose from the Wix professionally designed templates. These templates are ready to go and can be customized to fit your brand and style. This is a great option if you prefer a faster process, but still want to make it uniquely yours. So it's a starting point that you still can customize to be your website. Both options give you flexibility, so it's all about what suits your needs and how much control you want over your design process. Obviously, blank canvas, you have 100% of control over the design process. Template, you obviously have to work within certain bounds. However, that is where I get into our next part. So let's dive in. As I've been talking about, I'm going to be doing a live demonstration of Wix. Awesome. So as I've talked in the last couple slides, you've now signed up for Wix, you've picked a template or a blank canvas, or you've gone through the Wix ADI process and you now have a website. When you get into Wix, it's going to bring you to your dashboard, a page that looks a lot like this. And there is a lot of information that you probably have no idea about on this page, but it's just a starting point. So this dashboard is excellent and is another reason I really enjoy Wix as a website builder is right off the bat, it gives you a checklist for starting your website. So obviously as you go on in the process, there is this set up your business checklist, which for here it has update your site type. A lot of this is done through the registration process or through the ADI process or through picking a template. So a lot of it can be done afterwards, after you've designed out the whole website, like connecting a domain, get found on Google. Some of those are post-design steps. But like I said, one thing I really enjoy about Wix is it outlines all of those steps in one page. As we go along, I'm going to come back and revisit this site so that these side tabs over here make a little bit more sense. But first, I'm going to go into Design Site and talk about some of the advanced customization available in Wix. Just taking its time to load here. So here we have, I grabbed a template and I've kind of inputted some things into this page already. But I'm gonna go over some basic tools, just familiarize you guys with what the back end of a website builder really looks like. There's a lot of buttons, there's a lot of intimidation going into something like this, and I know it can be very overwhelming. So I'm going to try and stay as basic as possible, but please, if you have questions, as I've mentioned a few times before, please add those into the Q&A and I'll try and answer to the best of my abilities in relevance to this live demonstration. So when I start building a website, I always go page by page. So as we discussed last week in part 1, you have to really outline what pages you want for your business. So this is my digital marketing, my theoretical digital marketing business, Grace Digital Marketing. And so I want a home page, I want an about page, and I want a blog and a contact page. So right off the bat, I know those are the 4 pages that I really want. Obviously here we can see I already have my home and my blog page up there, but that's just because of the template I chose. I'm going to go more into adding those other pages as we go along. So adding content, customizing content in Wix is fairly simple, and I often explain it to as if you can type in a Word document, you can make a Wix website. It is as simple as that. So first, like I said, I do not have time to build a whole website in front of your guys' eyes today, but I am going to go into some of these tools to help you guys get started. So obviously, like I said, I kind of start one page at a time, and your pages, as you go through them, you'll notice that they start to feed into each other. So that's where these buttons come along and things like that. But so the first thing I want to show you guys today is how to edit and change text. So I'm obviously in my website builder. I've got this nice title here. I want to change it to something different. So basically, I'm just going into this text box and double clicking on the text. We can now see that it's a live text box. What this means is we can now change what it says. We can change what it says. We can change the font, the size, the color, all within this all within this editing frame. So I'm going to change this to digital marketing. And as I mentioned in the last presentation, file management and having all the stuff ready for the web for your website will help you, so you can essentially just copy and paste content into your website as you go. But for the purpose of showing you guys how it works, I'm just going to be throwing random content in here to show you the different functionality. So obviously I double clicked in the box, and now I can add whatever text I want in there. But I find this is a little bit big. So just like in, say, any platform you've used, like Word, Canva or Word or whatever, if you highlight your text and then we move into this frame, we can now edit the size, the font size. We can edit the font itself if we're not jamming with whatever. But also, one thing that the Wix website builder has built into it is this style. So what the style of your website is these are all fonts and styles that are built right into your website. And the purpose of this section here is so that your font and your colors and your branding stays consistent throughout your whole website. So that is why that handy tool is available. Heading 5, obviously, you have your different paragraph settings. Obviously, this is a heading, so we're going to want something a little bit more dramatic, a little bit bigger. So that is why you pick a heading. But like I said, if you find this a little bit big, you can definitely still move and customize the size. Down here is your bold, italic, underline, and colors. So again, colors is great. We can see here, just like the style function, we have the theme colors. So these theme colors are your website colors. So you can edit these theme colors, and I will get to that next. But again, the reason they're available is right and simple and easy to access is to keep your color scheme consistent across your whole website. They're easy to grab, they're right there and easy for you to access to keep things consistent. However, if you're wanting to stray away from your color scheme completely, which I do not recommend, there is an option to add colors down here. And if you do know the color code, you can insert the color code into Wix of the specific colors you're looking for. So that is kind of this frame. Of course, when it comes to text, there is lots of different effects. You can add shadows, you can add outlines, hovers, just like in Canva. I'm sure a lot of you have used Canva and have played with text effects and things like that. Remember to use it in places that make sense, in headings and things like that. If you're using text effects on smaller paragraph text, I find personally it gets illegible and harder for people to read. So just be wary of that. Character line and spacing. So if you want your lettering to be a little bit further apart, that's where you're going to do your line spacing. If you kind of want a double spaced look, as well as maybe you want the lettering a little bit more spread apart, and that's your character spacing. So your character spacing is the distance between each letter. So that is where you will find those effects. Vertical text, of course, is pretty self-explanatory. It's going to flip your text all sideways. Of course, if you have an area where that makes sense, I say go for it. And then lastly is SEO accessibility. So it's just asking you what your HTML tag is. I typically just go with heading 1. If it's a heading 1, it usually adjusts it for you. what that means is just how SEO is going to read this text. So that goes into a much deeper theme that I will touch on later on in this presentation. So for text, that's kind of the basics. Like I said, it's very similar to your Canva, to your Word, things like that. And a lot of this stuff, especially when it comes to website design, really comes down to trial and error. If you put some text in there and it doesn't end up looking the way you want it to, readjust, delete the text, add a new text box, play with it some more. It can be a really frustrating process trying to figure out website builders, but they are as simple as you make them. And like I said, I find if you can type in a Word document or you can edit a Canva document, you can definitely use Wix. So like I said, if you need to delete a text box and add a new one, you're going to go into your add elements function, and that is where you're going to find your text box. And you have your theme text, your title text, your paragraphs, different types, marquees, and you can add all types of these into your site and edit them to what you want them to be. Usually I just stick with pretty basic text. The reason I stay with pretty basic text is exactly what I've explained before, is it's what people are reading on your site. So if you're adding effects, if you're using weird fonts, it can make it really hard for your end user to read. And when you're on a phone or a tablet and it's a little bit smaller, you really want people to be able to read your content. So that's why it's important to be conscious of what kind of type you're using, what color of type you're using, how big it is, etc. So that is where you find your type and all the different functionalities. If you want to add a text box, I typically can add a paragraph and then you can insert it. These lines are guides to where it's going to add your text. So if I want it right underneath here, you can kind of see it's overlapping. But basically by clicking on the elements, you can drag and drop your text wherever you want it to be. These pink guidelines are basically rulers and things like that to help you align and help you guide you, so you're not just maybe throwing things all over the place, which might be harder to read logically on a screen. So use those pink guides whenever you can. Alignment is huge. And like I said, you want to make sure your text is eligible and not a weird color people can't read and things like that. Sometimes I do headings big colors, but for the most part on a website, I like to keep to really dark or black text. Just because I've built websites when I was just getting started with light colored text, and then you have an elderly person or someone with visual impairments that can't read the text. So it's just something to keep in mind, the accessibility of your website. The next thing within content creation that I want to touch on is adding and changing photos. So again, it's as simple as clicking on this photo and I click change background. No, that's not the one. So no, there we go. So now I've clicked on this column 2 and you can see up here the photo. So if we're wanting to change that photo, we're just going to go change background, and then there's different options. So if you don't want an image here, you could select color. It's gonna remove that photo and just add a big block of whatever color is available there. Image, it's then gonna bring you into your Wix kind of media center. So media from Wix is essentially stock images. You can look up in here, digital marketing, I'll look up. And it's going to bring you different stock images that you could use in place of what was there. Of course, you can also use your own original photos. So going back to what I talked about in part 1, gathering all your photos in a file, because what you can then do is add them right into Wix. So say you have your logo files, your stock images that you want, your headshots, your photos of your store. You're just going to go to this upload media spot here and upload those files right into Wix. Once you've uploaded those files right into Wix, all those photos, all those logos, all those assets that you've already collected are at your hands in Wix, and you can place them and put them wherever you want. So you can see here I've preloaded, say, a Grace logo, as well as a few headshots and a few stock photos for me to use for the purpose of showing you guys today how Wix works. So like I said, I'm just going to select this photo and change background, so then it changes that back to that original photo I had. You can also add video to Wix. So if you have YouTube videos of your shop, like walkthrough tours and things like that, I would encourage you to use high quality video. The little bit lower quality, it's going to get blurry and maybe not be smooth, a little bit choppy. So if you have some high quality video, feel free to add that to your Wix as well. It's just really nice when you're designing a website to have glossy photos of yourself, of your store, or just the things you're doing. Like I said, obviously there's some industries that stock images are the only option. However, if you can use original photography, I encourage you to do so. So yeah, that is how you change a photo. Of course, again, if you're wanting to add a photo to another area of your Wix website, it is just, again, in this elements section of your website. So just as you added text, there is image. So you have upload image. You also have your site images already in here. So any images that you've uploaded, like I've just explained it, you can then easily select and add to your site, which is awesome. And then there's also gives you free Wix images. You can obviously go show more, explore that, as well as illustrations and graphics. There's a lot to explore within Wix. But of course, if you go upload an image, it's going to go upload from your computer. We're just going to throw a random photo in there, but it's going to just place your website. And then, like we've seen before, it's kind of that drag and drop functionality. With a photo, you can crop and edit them. So when you click on the image, it's going to give you these options. So there's change image, which would be selecting something new. There is edit image, which is going to bring you into this design window. This is a little bit like what you see in Instagram. So you can up your contrast, your brightness. This is kind of, obviously there's a lot better image editors out there than what's built into Wix, but it's handy, and it's easy to use. There's obviously an AI option, different filters. This is if you wanted a black and white photo, etc. Any images you make, once you save them, they will then pop right onto your website edited. So if I save this black and white image, it's then going to change to black and white on my screen. Another function down here is crop. Obviously, cropping things out, making photos smaller and more compact. Cutting things out that you don't want in the photo. Maybe someone's photobombing with peace signs and you want that cut out. You can crop and edit the photos right in Wix as well. Link, if you want this photo to link to another website, you can click the link function. You can then link it to another website, link it to an email, but I will go more into the link function a little bit later. Filters, already kind of covered that. Your filters are your black and white, your sepia, the things like that. If it makes sense for your photo and your design vision, go for it. I'm just here to kind of show you the options that are available when it comes to placing a photo and adding a photo into Wix. So text and image are the two big things. Replacing and changing photos, as I've mentioned, for the most part in Wix, it's a matter of a click and an add. The next thing I want to show you is adding a section. So for instance, if we're wanting to add another section with some photos or some text in between, maybe a quote in between this section and this section, all you have to do is click the add section button and it's going to bring you up a whole new section. And I guess, for example, of what sections are, is they're obviously self-explanatory, but they're blocks of text. So it's kind of your hierarchy of most important block on top, least important block on the bottom. And this is your header and footer. And there's a header and a footer on every single page of your website. So your header includes your navigation menu, typically some social links and things like that. And then your footer also kind of includes sometimes a navigation menu, but a lot of times what your footer includes is things like a call to action, so a phone number, email, Instagram, Facebook links, privacy policy, kind of how people can get a hold of you. And it is really popular nowadays for people to have a contact form or some sort of subscription or newsletter subscription form in their footer as well. So that's header and footer. Like I said, I'm kind of jumping around a bit, but hopefully it all kind of comes together when you guys start to build. So when you add a section, you can either pick a pre-made designed section, just like in the elements, there's different options. So as I kind of explained in the blank canvas versus a template, sometimes you're a little bit restricted when you pick an already designed section. You're kind of stuck with how it looks. You're stuck with kind of how the design is. You can edit it and change things slightly, but a lot of times it's going to restrict you to kind of staying within the box of what the design is. If you decide you like one of these templates, all you got to do is drag and drop it right into the website and then go in and edit and customize it as I showed you above here. Click the text, change the text, click the photo, change it to something you like. There's examples and things below here that you can change it to. Obviously, these are recommendations, so they don't really go say what my site would be, but you can add your own custom designs in that maybe you created on Canva or photos that look really nice behind. Whatever you think works for your vision, your design. Use those photos and use them appropriately. But yeah, it's pretty easy to add and customize. And like I said, I kind of go page by page. So I start at the top of this page, give it the heading, give it the text you want, things like that. Next, I want to talk about linkable buttons. So this button obviously here says get started. We want it to go somewhere. Right now I haven't built out a ton of pages. So you either want it to go to a page or a phone number or an email address or maybe an external third-party website. And it's very simple. So you click on the button and you click this link and it's going to give you a whole schwack of options that you can link it to. So website address, this would be like a third-party website you could add in there. Page, this is going to be a page on your website. So obviously I have my home, my privacy policy, terms and conditions. These are kind of pages I have that exist. So if I go get started, goes to my privacy policy, just for the purpose of this demonstration. Probably a get started button would more go to a service page or an about page or something with a little bit more information about what we're actually doing. And then we have the option of clicking new window or current window. This means that it's either going to leave you on the same page or open a separate window to reroute you to that page. So whatever you prefer, just choose it. And then that is where that button will go when someone clicks it, essentially. So that's kind of how you edit the basic things on a website. Obviously, there's different apps and things like that that you can add. This is obviously a service app, so you can go manage services, and it's going to bring you back into your dashboard that we looked at the beginning, and we can see that in the back end here. I have social media strategy, graphic design consultation, website design basics put in the back here, and they are my services that are available. This is pretty advanced for people who want basic websites. I often tell them just to write what your service is and a little blurb, and then have some sort of contact form on your website that people could email you or call you or even message you through social media. If you're not quite ready for people to say be booking and paying for services through your website, stay as basic as you want, because your website can evolve, it can grow, it can move in different directions. So just being wary of that, there is points to grow to if you want them to. So I'm just showing you this homepage. The next thing I'm wanting to touch on is having your website being mobile friendly. So right up at the top here, you can see there's a little desktop and there's a little mobile. So obviously in this day and age, most people are probably going to be looking at your website on either a smartphone or a tablet, more likely than a laptop, but it's still important to have a really good, nice looking website designed for desktop as well. So with that, you're going to want to go over to your mobile version, and you're going to see that sometimes things shift and change when you're on the mobile version. So although this is all the same information, you're probably going to have to edit the way this content looks. Often there's too much space. That's the biggest thing I see, is a lot of times you have to adjust spacing, um, making it so it's not such a long scroll. Typically all of the stuff is going to be there, but sometimes what happens is content ends up on top of each other. So for whatever reason, if you're designing in desktop and then you don't see what you just did on desktop on mobile, I kind of like to stretch out things and maybe see if they're underneath. It is kind of a trial and error process, and it isn't the most smooth, but sometimes what happens is content ends up hidden because it's stacked on top of each other. Now that I mentioned hidden content, I just want to touch on that if there's things you don't want to be seen on mobile, you can create a hidden section from mobile. So for whatever reason you don't want this services option to be seen on a mobile device, you can hide it. And then in this hidden on mobile section, which is, you can access it by going over to this eye here. If you want to reappear, you can go show, or you can show that services list again, and it pops back in. And it pops back in. So that's how you hide and unhide content. Like I said, some stuff on mobile just doesn't translate over. Some stuff on desktop doesn't translate necessarily 100% seamlessly maybe over to mobile. So that's where that hidden and unhidden feature is really valuable to people. And so going back to desktop, like I said, I kind of jump around a lot, but there's a lot of tools a lot of basic tools I want to touch on in a short amount of time. So the next thing I want to touch on is adding social links and social media to your Wix website. So right here is an example of a Instagram feed being incorporated into a website. You definitely don't see this on every website, but the reason I love this integration is because a website isn't something we necessarily update all the time like we do social media. If we're having some sort of event or some sort of announcement, typically we go and we run to social media and we post that on social media. So what this widget slash app does is you go into settings and you sign into your Instagram. It has to be a business Instagram, but you sign into your Instagram and it will sync your Instagram feed to your Wix website. This is great because all your newest social media content will occupy these squares. So as you make posts maybe about events, about things coming up, or just in general, really nice photography and stuff that you're adding to your social media, but not your website, it can be featured on your website in this app. So by far, it's one of my favorite features that I like to see businesses, especially businesses that are really active on social media add, because it's so valuable. Because like I said, maybe we're not like maintaining and updating our website as much as social media, but we can kind of do this seamlessly because it's gonna put in Instagram posts and things like that, um, without you having to actually go on to your Wix website builder and add stuff every single time. If you're adding to your social media already, you might as well get that value on your website. Because at the end of the day, it's just one big web. Your Instagram links to your website links to your Instagram links to your Google business page, and all that sort of stuff. At the end of the day, it is one big web and it all links together, really cementing and creating a strong digital foundation. So that's a really cool function. Like I said, you have to have a business Instagram, but all you essentially do is click on the settings when you've added this to your site. You can find and add this into your site through elements. You're just going to go down and it's included in social. So you find it as it's like I call it a widget or an app, but it's included in here, in the different options that are available here. Also, if for whatever reason you can't find it to add to your website, the search bar on Wix is fantastic. If you just go Instagram feed, it's going to give you different options to add your Instagram feed to your website. And yeah, that's one way of incorporating social media into your website. The other is at the bottom here. And typically I like to include the social links bar at the bottom, but not only at the bottom, I also like to include it at the top as well. Typically I add it to both my footer and my header, because social media is such a vital part of digital marketing. Setting your social links is a lot like setting your links in anything. So you click on them and you go set social links. In here you can see the different pictures. Most people know a lot of people are moving away from having X. A lot of businesses don't have Twitter, so you would just get rid of those. And then you would just add in your Facebook link in here. And again, you can choose if you're going new window, current window, just as you did before with that button. If there's any other different social media you want to add, you just go add icon. I just go add icon. I know a popular one with us, I don't know if it's in here, LinkedIn. So you would just add the LinkedIn logo. Add it in. There's obviously colored and black, whatever you prefer. And then again, you just add that link and then you go done. So with all that, those are a few like editing / tools and techniques to get you really started in your website building process. But of course, you don't want to work on your site for hours and then not save anything. So make sure you're saving. A lot of times it's auto saving for you, but I have anxiety and I don't trust auto save. So clicking save often, this is not making your site live. If you do have a domain connected or things like that, make sure you're saving, and it typically gives you an option of just save or save and publish. Nothing will be live until you press this publish button here. So unless that's clicked, nothing is live to your audience. And that goes with making a bunch of edits too. You can save them, but if you don't go save and then publish, they're not going to be live to your website. So if there's something you're working on that you don't want quite live yet, just click the save button, save publish for later, but just know until you press that publish button, it isn't going to be live to your end consumer who's looking at your website. Next thing I want to touch on is something I've kind of already touched on here, is your site design. So going back to when I first started talking about fonts and color and website theme and consistency, so this is where you change that. So your page background right now is blue and things like that. So this is a fun place to play in. Color theme is a good one. You can add your own custom colors in. So if you have a really strong brand identity and you have your color codes for your brand and things like that, you can go in and change these colors to match your branding 100%. So you can go in and add the color codes and make sure they're identical to your brand and really make that custom color palette to match your brand. If you're not quite there, there is also site themes. So there is like some default color combos. So there's like browns and vibrancies and different things like that. Like I said, I really like the customize my color themes. In these advanced settings, you can go right down into what color you want your buttons, what color you want your links, what you want your background colors, and things like that. So this is really fun, especially if you have a nice, well-established brand. It's really easy to go in there and make those changes. Text theme. This is where you go in and maybe change what you want your site theme to be. If you're not a fan of what your template came with in terms of font and things like that, maybe you find it hard to read, maybe it just doesn't match the vibe of what you're going for. In this page settings portion is where you're gonna change your text theme, change your color theme, those sorts of things. Really fun to play around with. Definitely don't settle for what a template gives you. Try and get in there and edit and customize the website to the best of your abilities. Finally, there's so much more I could show you guys, but I noticed here I'm running out of a little bit of time, but I'm happy to answer questions post-event via email as well. I just wanted to show you some basic tools to get you guys started. But the last thing I want to dive into in my live demonstration is managing pages, adding pages, and your navigation bar. So up at the top here, we're going to see the pages that are available. Obviously, we can see I have a home and a blog page. So by clicking on Manage Page, there's all these different menu options. But I really want an About Us page. So that's where I'm going to go. I'm going to go Add Menu Item. And so it gives me the different options: New Page, Link, Section, Anchor, drop down. These are different types of pages. I'm just going to focus on one, a new page, and secondly, a linked page. So I'll just tell you what a linked page is right now. If you're using a third-party booking system, or you have, say, a waiver for your gym or your rock climbing wall or whatever, and it goes to like a third-party site or even a PDF, and you want it to be a separate page on your website, you can create a link and add it to your website, even though it's third party and not part of your website. A new website page is you start from scratch or you use one of these templates. Like I said, there's lots of formatting. There's lots of different options for About Us pages, for services pages. These options are going to change based on the template you choose and things like that. But otherwise, I typically, because I have more experience, I click blank page. It's going to create me this new page. It's going to ask me what I want this page named, and I'm going to say about and done. In this view, obviously, we can see now that about is live. But say I don't want it seen yet, I want to work on the page, you can go hide from menu. Once you click hide from menu, it's not available in your menu. And then of course, when you're ready and your page is built out and you want that option to be available, you can then go show in menu again. So that's kind of a beginner step, a beginner tool that I know lots of small business owners don't know because they get in and the template's just built out and it has a home about service page and they're maybe not to the way they like. So if you're using a template too, don't be afraid to go through and delete pages and add new pages and things like that. Like I said, if I wanted to delete this page now, I could go and delete and then add a new page and start it from scratch. So definitely don't be afraid to do that. If you start from blank, I just go design section or I add elements to it. Like, oh, I know I want a big photo that goes across the top here and things like that. And I fit it to the section and I play around. And like I said, a lot of this is trial and error and familiarizing yourself with the tools that are available in the website builder. And there is so many tools, it's almost impossible to touch on them all. Lastly, two, like I said, linking phone numbers is really important tool, is going in and linking a phone number. This makes it so if you click on the phone number and you're on a phone, it's going to pop up and someone can call it immediately. So right there, you just click on phone number and then you pick the phone number option. Pretty self-explanatory, and then vice versa with the email. So you're going to go into that email and you're going to click link and then click email, type in the email and a subject line that says website inquiry or whatever you're thinking for that. And yeah, that's how you link a web email address. Of course, there's different apps and different things for that Wix has. So Wix has an extensive app market. So if you want a FAQ page, if you want a booking site, if you want e-commerce, these are all different apps that you're going to want to explore, and they're all in the Wix app market. But you can also, if you're looking for something specific you can't find in the side menu, try searching it, as well as I find Wix has really good customer service. So if you can get on a chat with someone for customer service for Wix, they typically always answer, at least tell you step by step of where to go and how to find what you're looking for. So I've touched on publishing your site, but there's also the preview function. So this is kind of pre-launch. You've got your whole website done, but you're not quite sure yet. You can go into preview mode and you can even send people preview links of your website to maybe test it out on your family and friends. So before publishing, I always encourage clients to preview your site to make sure everything looks good. Make sure you preview it on both desktop and the mobile version, just to make sure everything looks good on both versions. Lastly, once you're happy with your site, please publish it. I know sometimes we like to get in there and refine every little detail, but know your website, like I've mentioned before, can evolve, it can grow, it can change. These are just the starting steps of you getting in there and building and making your site your own. I know kind of the different things I've done today kind of look a mess, but um, I just really wanted to focus on the tools to help you guys get started. But designing a website can be really tedious and really fun, in my opinion. So once you're happy with your site, click publish to make it live. Wix will give you a free wixwebsite.com domain, or of course you can go in and sign up for a premium account, and you can connect your own custom domain once you've gone through and followed those steps. And once after your site is live, you can still update anytime, like I said, whether it's adding new content, tweaking the design, or fixing any issue. Wix will let you easily make changes and publish them at any point you want. So, to effectively market your website and then attract visitors, it's important to use a combination of strategies. The key method I'll focus on today are social media marketing, Google Business Profile, SEO, and email marketing. So, social media is one of the most powerful tools for promoting your website and engaging with your audience. Platforms like Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, or X allow you to connect with potential visitors, share content, and build your brand. So here's how you can use social media to make the most out of your website. So Facebook is ideal for building community and fostering engagement. It's a great place to share your blog posts, product updates, events, or behind the scenes content. So, first, you create a business page. Make sure your business page has a dedicated page and is not a personal profile. So, that's my one tip with Facebook. Post regularly. Use a mix of content types like images, videos, and articles to keep your audience engaged. Utilize Facebook ads. Facebook has a robust advertising platform that allows you to target your audience based on location, interest, age, and more, making it a powerful tool for driving targeted traffic to your website. Join groups, engage in Facebook groups related to your niche, sharing your expertise, your website URL in these groups can increase your visibility and position you as an industry leader. So next is Instagram. Instagram is a highly visual and is an excellent for businesses with strong visual content such as fashion, food, travel, or art. Here's how you can use Instagram effectively. So, of course, post high quality images and videos. Showcase your products, services, or behind the scene moments with visually appealing content. This is the best place to share your high quality content. Use Instagram stories and reels. This feature allows you to share quick updates, tutorials, or product demos in a fun and engaging way, and you can include your website link on your stories. So leverage hashtags. Instagram is a hashtag heavy platform. So, and lastly, link in bio, because Instagram does not allow clickable links on its posts. I don't know why, but you can use your link in bio to drive traffic to your website or specific landing pages. Like I said, you can also share links in your stories. This is great because on your actual posts on Instagram, you cannot include clickable links. This is what has leaned into, and I don't want to get too much into it, but this is why now the link tree is a really big thing. Lastly, lastly, is LinkedIn is the go-to platform for professionals, networking, and it is especially valuable for business-to-business marketing. And you can use LinkedIn to make sure your business profile is complete and professional and optimized with relevant keywords to help potential clients find you. You can post thought leadership content. So you can use, say, blog content you're putting on your website and also post that blog content on your social media and have a call to action at the end that then links your LinkedIn to your website. So just always thinking about posts you can be making in these areas to then lead people back to your website. So lastly is X. Our Twitter, now X, is great for real-time communication and sharing short-form content. It's great for sharing news articles, success stories, things like that. Often I refer to Twitter or X as the newsroom. So if you're putting out success stories, blog content, things like that on your X, it's a great way to throw that up onto on your website. You can then put it on your X profile as a link. So some general tips for all of these platforms is consistency is key. Post regularly and keep a consistent voice across all platforms to build brand recognition. Engage with your audience. Respond to comments, messages, mentions. Social media is a two-way street. So you talk to them, they'll talk to you. Link to your website and have a call to action with everything you do. Always include links to your website in posts, bios, and call to actions to drive traffic back to your site whenever possible. By using these platforms strategically, you'll not only grow your audience, but also drive more targeted traffic to your website, engage with potential customers, and build a strong online presence. Your Google business profile. So setting up and optimizing a Google business profile is a crucial step for local businesses. When you register your site on Google, your business will appear on Google Search and Maps, making it easier for local customers to find and contact you. Ensure your profile is complete with business hours, contact information, location, and a link to your website to improve local search ranking and attract more visitors. Making sure your Google business profile is up to date is huge. So making sure your hours are great, your hours are right, making sure your link isn't broken to your website are all very important because that is how you end up with bad Google reviews. I've seen it with so many businesses that it says you're open Saturday, but you're not. So making sure you're going into your Google business profile and making sure it's up to date is huge. Even though you might not think it, even for holidays and things like that, make sure you're updating your hours and making sure everything's up to date and right with your Google business profile. SEO, so search engine optimization, is all about making your website more visible on search engines like Google. So start with basics, use relevant keywords in your content, ensure your website is mobile friendly, optimize page load times, and make sure you have good internal and external links, no broken links. These steps will help your website rank higher on search results, increasing the chances of being found for potential visitors. And I didn't get to it today, but Wix has a great SEO checklist that you can check out to build out your SEO after your website is done being built. Again, I was showing you that search bar. If you just type in SEO into that search bar, it'll bring you right to the SEO checklist, which is super valuable. Lastly, email marketing. So email marketing allows you to stay connected with your audience directly in your inbox. Build an email list through sign-up forms that you can attach to your website and encourage visitors to subscribe for updates on newsletters, updates on events, and promotions. So send out regular emails that include valuable content, special offers, or even blog posts to keep your audience engaged and bring them back to your site.